The long-awaited Mueller report, a redacted version of it, is available for viewing. But hours before Americans had their chance to read it, President Donald Trump's Attorney General had his say.
After nearly 2 years of investigation, thousands of subpoenas, hundreds of warrants, and witness interviews, the special counsel confirmed that the Russian government sponsored efforts to illegally interfere with the 2016 presidential election, but did not find that the Trump campaign or other Americans colluded in those efforts.
But what about the possible obstruction of justice by Donald Trump? 10 episodes were examined.
The president took no act that in fact deprived the special counsel of the documents and witnesses necessary to complete his investigation.
The president was quick to react and took to Twitter to declare himself fully vindicated. He later appeared at an event in Washington where he expressed his delight.
I'm having a good day too. It was called No Collusion, No Obstruction. There never was, by the way, and there never will be.
But Democrats criticized William Barr for holding a press conference before the report had been released. The Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, currently on a trip to Ireland, took to Twitter and said Barr's partisan behaviour had triggered a crisis of independence and impartiality. She went on to demand that Special Counsel Mueller provide public testimony in the House and Senate as soon as possible. Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren said it was a disgrace to see an Attorney General acting as if he's the personal attorney and publicist for the President of the United States. The Mueller report could not conclude that Donald Trump obstructed justice, but it's not over yet for the President, as Congress can continue to investigate him.
Okay, let's go straight to Washington then, where we join DW correspondent Helena Humphrey. Welcome, Helena. So 450 pages of this report. It's been out a couple of hours now. How far have you got?
450 pages. If you'd like a reference point, Phil, that is longer than To Kill a Mockingbird. We're certainly combing our way through it. I just want to show you some of the level of redactions that you can see in that report. We knew it would be redacted, but here you can see some of the pages are completely blacked out, and some of those redactions are heavily related to WikiLeaks and the Democratic dump of emails in 2016. Remember, of course, last week we did see the arrest of Julian Assange in London. We can't speculate as to whether that is connected, but certainly interesting development as to the latest that we are now understanding as we continue to read through this investigation. Firstly, that the president was certainly perturbed by the appointment of special counsel Robert Mueller, trying to fire him. When he learned of his appointment, he reportedly said, according to this investigation, "Oh my God, this is terrible. This is the end of my presidency." He also tried to thwart the investigation in relation to the FBI Director James Comey, reportedly having him fired because he was dissatisfied with the FBI Director not coming out to say that the president was not under investigation. In terms of connections with Russia, we now know that polling data during the presidential campaign was passed on to Russian connections for far longer than we thought. We understand that the president, Donald Trump, is reportedly sympathetic to his former campaign manager Paul Manafort, who lied under oath about his connections to Russian connections, of course, and Konstantin Kalimnik. Mueller reportedly was not satisfied with the written answers which he obtained from the president, but decided not to subpoena for a sit-down interview with the president because he didn't want to delay this already 2-year-long investigation. And ultimately, that the special counsel could not rule that there wasn't criminal conduct. He clearly wrote that this does not clear the president. 14 other investigations are ongoing, 12 of which remain secret right now.
So we saw the president saying in the report there that he's having a good day. Tell us some more about his response.
He said it was a good day. He tweeted his popular refrain of no collusion, no obstruction. We have also now had a statement from the Trump campaign saying that this is a clear exoneration of the president, that there was no collusion, no obstruction, vindication for him. And now that the tables will be turned, that there will be an investigation into the, quote, liars. So it looks like hinting there at some revenge to come.
Helena Humphrey in Washington, thank you.
Yeah, and someone who has been reading the reports like I have is Tyson Barker right here, a familiar face, one of our U.S. analysts, a veteran of the Obama administration, and now with the Aspen Institute. So you've been reading those 400 pages today, like the rest of us. What struck me is that President Trump, after the release took place, said he was having a great day. Has he read that report?
Well, I think he's having, the entire phalanx of advisors from the White House is out completely on the defensive today. Kellyanne Conway has already come out and said that there are misrepresentations of what happened immediately after the firing of Comey. There have been a lot of gaps in the narrative filled in. For example, knowledge that Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner, others, Hope Hicks, were aware that there was dirt on Hillary Clinton being offered by the Russians. A lot of these elements are being laid out, especially on the obstruction of justice front. And that's really where I think a lot of the focus is going to turn to.
Well, there were 10 cases in this report,
right,
where Mueller says, we were almost there in terms of obstruction of justice. The report concludes that the only thing that separated Trump from obstructing justice was the fact that the people he asked to do that for him always said no. I read that and I thought, well, isn't this something that's impeachable then? It's right there in black and white.
Isn't that a massive irony? And a lot of this stuff has already come out in Bob Woodward's reporting from his book last year, where he basically said, a lot of Trump's mandates to his staff, Rob Porter, apparently Corey Lewandowski and others, were just not acted upon because the staff knew that this would get the administration in extremely hot water. So the irony here is that he actually has a staff that's really looking out for his best interest. The question is a question of intent, as I think you have mentioned and others, and when does it become a prosecutable offense? And I think that what we're looking at here, and this has been indicated in some of the footnotes in the report, is that this is something that basically Mueller said this is something for Congress to look into.
Well, is that what we're going to see now? Mueller is going to testify. Today we heard the Attorney General say he can do that.
Right.
I'm not against that. So let's say he goes to Congress and testifies, and then it's up to Congress to decide what to do. The document, the report, is no longer just a legal document. It's now a political document, which impeachment itself is political and not legal. Right.
So there are two avenues that this is now going to take. One is the political avenue, which is going to have to do with Congress, and the other is going to be the prosecutions that could occur, the further investigations that could occur, for example, by the New York State Attorney General or in the Southern District of New York, the national attorney there. And one of the glaring omissions from the report has been Trump's finances and the state of Trump's finances. So there is some speculation that a lot of the elements, the evidence that has been found in the investigation was farmed out to others to further prosecute, which didn't fall in the narrow mandate of the Mueller investigation.
Very quickly, the Democratic presidential candidates, everywhere across the country have been saying that people aren't talking about this report. They're talking about health care, the economy. Is this going to change that, do you think, in the U.S.?
I think it's similar to, frankly, if you think back to Nixon and impeachment, and his resignation in Watergate, a lot of the basic facts of Watergate were already available in 1972, before the 1972 election. What happened was the temperature continued to rise through investigations and through the reactions of the White House itself. And I think that's where this could become a much more pressing matter for the Trump administration.
Tyson Barker, thank you very much. We look forward to talking with you again tonight on The Day.
Thank you.